What's going on, everybody? This is Dallas, and I want to thank you for joining us for our first episode of the Picking Live podcast. I'm joined today with my beautiful wife, Olivia.
Hello, everyone.
And basically what we're going to do in this podcast and all of our podcasts in the future is we've come up with about 10 or 11 different topics that we've just put into a round, what would you call that thing?
A basket.
Basket. Yeah, that'd be a good thing. A basket. And we're going to pull them out and talk about 2 or 3 of them, however many we need to talk about to get about 30 minutes of a podcast going. We'd encourage you guys from now on to feel free to post your own kind of topic starters in the comment section below. And, well, let's get started. Why don't you pull one of those suckers out of there?
All right, let's see what we got. The first one is, well, this is kind of a good question.
Kind of a good question?
Kind of a good question.
All right.
It might be one that a lot of folks want to know the answer to. Why the yellow walls at the shop?
Oh, well, Olivia came up with these questions, so I think that the yellow walls make it a lively type of place to be doing work. We don't necessarily have the most exciting jobs in the world, and it can get mundane, and if we had like an institutional gray, it may be a little tough to get people excited to come in and work.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I always say we don't do the usual things here at the shop. I mean, it's not an everyday kind of business, so why have an everyday decor? In addition, somewhere along the lines, I picked up that you can't sleep in a yellow room. And you can't get much brighter yellow than this. So
no, you can't. That is for sure.
We don't want our employees sleeping, so we figured we'd go ahead and go with that. And
we are sitting in here today with half the lights off, and it is still glowing in here. We're still very bright. But I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think it encourages people, you know, with the funky floors and the cool wall colors. I mean, you come in here and you've hopefully are excited to work, and I know that when I come in here, it's a lot different than the other shop where it was white walls and everything was kind of just normal stuff. And here it seems like it's a little bit more ours. I mean, we have the mortgage payment we got to pay every month, so we might as well make it what we want.
Very true. The first time the UPS man came to pick up our FBA order, he walked in and he kind of looked around, and I was like, we'll be seeing you quite a bit, introducing myself and whatnot. And he said, what was this place, a daycare? And I was like, no, we actually did this. It was a machinist shop. And he just kind of said, oh, okay. But since then, he's kind of livened up to it, and he likes to look at all the neat stuff on the table that we're getting ready to list on eBay. So once he kind of got used to it himself, he kind of wanders around and likes the atmosphere himself. I've not met a UPS man that kind of hangs out for a few minutes.
Yeah, and the guy who did it, our contractor, he was a little leery about our color choices as far as carpet and color of the walls, but I think he came around to it too. So, well, what's our next question?
All right, our next question.
Maybe something that can help people instead of a color of our walls.
Well, something folks might want to know. All right, so the next question is, what is the toughest part of having employees?
I think you deal with them more than I do, so why don't you start off with that one and
go from there? Well, I would say that for me, the toughest part is patience and remembering that just because I've been doing this for, I guess, going on 7 years, I mean, as much as Dallas has been doing it full time, a whole lot longer than I have, that doesn't mean that I didn't spend my days at the auctions and listing stuff, and I was part-time for a long time. And I have to remember that these people are new to the eBay systems, they're new to what things are. Just because I know what it is doesn't mean they know what it is. And there are certain things that seem like forehead mistakes to me and probably everybody that's listening to this, where they just didn't understand. For example, one of the things that I almost lost my cool on was when I found several listings that had free international shipping. Anybody that is aware of how eBay works and how much international shipping is something that, weighs 10 ounces today we sent to New Zealand and it cost $11 to ship it. So in the U.S., obviously that we would do free shipping on that because it would cost $2-3. But internationally, that's a huge difference. The good news is we were able to find that mistake in the listings on a minimal item. It was 2 ounces. And we were able to, skirt the issue of a big item being sold, a heavy item, and, having a problem there. But those types of things, learning curve, I didn't think to explain the importance of getting that right. I figured, everybody knows that you don't do free international shipping. So just the helping them understand the little pieces that we take for granted, just from doing it and learning, along the way to...
And I think, a big part of being an employer versus an employee is that we have expectations about what we expect people to be able to accomplish. And what we can do, doing it for 7 years or however long we've been doing this, and what people who are brand new can do in that same period of time are night and day different. And even though it's just controlling expectations, I think is probably the best way of saying it. You've got a guy who's never done eBay or a girl who's never done Amazon, and you're throwing them into something that is completely foreign to them. I mean, if you told someone just random off the street what we do, it's tough to give that elevator pitch, that 2-minute deal where you say, well, this is what we do. And it's basically, we go to the doctor or anywhere else, they ask us what we do. Well, we sell antiques and collectibles. And that's like 1/10 of 1% of what we really do. And when we bring these people in and we're expecting them to accomplish the same amount of stuff that we're accomplishing, it sometimes can cause friction between us, me and you, I think, to some point, because I'm like, well, I don't understand why these people can't do 50 listings in an hour. And you tell me, like...
Because they can't.
They
don't understand. Where we come in, we have an item, we kind of have a good understanding of what it is, or even where to start researching it. These people look at items and they're like, it's a dish. Like, where we can look at it and it's a 9-inch, this kind of plate, or this is the pattern, or it's a Metlock, or it's, whatever. This is a depression glass, Madrid pattern in amber. And, it's just these random things that we have locked in our brains that these people don't have a clue. They're like, it's a glass plate. Like, and you type in glass plate into eBay to research it, it ain't happening very quick. I mean, I don't even know how many results you get, but I gave him an example of I was trying to get them to get very specific on, I think it was a Western shirt, like a Wrangler Western shirt. And I said, okay, type in what you would put, and they put in the search results, and it came back with like 200,000. And I said, okay, now put in pearl snap, because it had pearl snaps. And they're like, well, what's that? And I'm like, it's the buttons. And then they put that in, and then it reduced it down to like 50,000. And then I said, well, okay, now put in Wrangler in addition to Western and pearl snap, and then it reduced it down. And I just showed them, I said, we have to get our item in front of the customer, and we have to be as specific as we possibly can with the title. And that's the piece that...
And as broad, which is a tough thing to do. You want to be as specific as possible, but as broad as possible. And
so, it's not, you have to, it just, and getting a new employee to understand that it's a process. And, like Dallas said, that we have gone back and forth with he's like, why haven't we listed more? And I'm like, well, it's a learning curve. It's, we're working on getting the foundation there to get them to be able to do more faster later. It got to the point where, I just said, okay, first thing you're doing just to get to learn the system is you're listing these. Most of them are the same. It's just as quick
photographs or postcards or
things that don't change that much between listing to listing, and you use the template, and that's it's a good way to get them familiar with the system, so that at least they're not fighting the system in addition to understanding what they're listing. So, it's been a process, and like I said, patience is just my big thing. I think, generally speaking, I'm a pretty patient person, and it takes a lot to send me over the edge, but there's a few things that I've had to take a couple deep breaths on.
And, I mean, I'm not any help in that category either, because I just think what I do is easy. I don't have a problem going out and finding stuff. I never have a problem researching stuff. I never really have a problem. I mean, but like she said, I've been doing it for a long time, and this is how I make my living and pay our bills and do everything we got to do. And for someone who's just coming in, first off, they don't have they're getting a paycheck. So if it takes them an hour to learn something, or it takes them a week to learn something, it's no different to them.
Yeah.
Where for me, if it takes me a week to learn something, that's cost me a couple $1,000 just because I couldn't do the other stuff I already know about. And I don't know, I just think it's, like you said, you got to have patience, and stuff comes and goes, and people learn, and, you're going to go through some folks, you're going to go through 2 or 3 people before you find one that's really going to work. And
I often, it's crazy as it sounds, I have like a 3-week tolerance for people. If you're not grasping the general concepts of what we do here in 3 weeks, I'm good. Like, I don't think you're going to catch it at that point. Yeah. That's 3 weeks, day in, day out. If you're not grasping at least some of it at that point, like if all I can have you do is pull stickers for retail arbitrage, yeah. I could have an 8-year-old do that. I mean, it's not that difficult. If that's the extent of the skills that you've learned in 3 weeks, I'm good. Like, I don't need you here.
But I think that's a pretty good idea of how tolerant we are, or, how much. I mean, having employees is tough, but to get to the level that we're at now, we couldn't get there without help of others. And
right.
We found a couple good people that are willing to learn and have the ability to learn, which I thought was an easier task than it must be, because not very many people have the ability to learn. But I think it's been good, and every day we get better, and every day hopefully they're getting a little better. And if we can have this thing rocking and rolling by fourth quarter, I think we could set the world on fire. So, what's next?
Next question. Was that question a little bit better than the wall color?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What is the best or most funny retail arbitrage checkout story?
Well, mine was probably the male potency stuff. That was probably the best. I went into a what's that place called?
I don't know.
Vitamin World or something like that.
Vitamin Emporium.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
But they had this male potency herbal stuff on clearance, and they probably had, 25 of them or something like that?
A lot.
A lot. And it had an awesome rank on Amazon, like 5,000 or something like that. And to be honest with you, I did not really read what it was. I didn't read what was on the box. I just scanned it and stuffed it in the basket and went on about my way. And then when I go to check out, that's the only thing I found. I found that and a few hairbrushes, like 5 hairbrushes. And I take it up to the counter to the lady and I just put it out on the counter. And I don't even realize what I have until I'm putting it on the counter and I look at it. And it says male potency something, herbal supplement or something like that. And so I put it on the counter, and the lady behind the counter was quick-witted, a lot more quick-witted than I was. And she's ringing it up, and she's looking at it, and ringing it up, and ringing it up. And she gets to about the 20th of them, and she looks me square in the eyes, and she goes, "What, are you trying to have a litter?" And I started laughing, and she started laughing, and it was a good time. But I think that's really the only I see a lot of people on Facebook and, a lot of these Facebook groups and stuff who have problems when they go out scanning. People give them a hard time or anything like that. I've never had anything like that. It's more the funny stuff where it's, people don't really, why are you buying 50 male potency tablets?
Yeah, like what?
You know,
What?
Or when we went to, we were up in Arkansas and our cart was filled with X-Lax and foot spray. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, that lady gave us some weird looks.
We had like 50 things of foot spray and like 10 90 count X-Lax, and
there was something else in there that was just like random, like and like a Barbie doll or something. It was just like, what in the world? I mean, it was mass quantities, and the lady just was like,
I think it was the Advil allergy stuff.
Yeah, it was because we had the X-Lax, the allergy, and the Lamisil, and I was like, man, this lady's got to be like, man, their feet must be itching, and they got
allergies, and they're constipated.
Yeah, it was a combination because I don't know. I think cashiers see quite a bit of stuff, but I think we're a topic of discussion after we leave a few places, especially when we're together. I mean, you know, like a single person coming through buying some random crap. You know, maybe that happens more than you think, but a couple coming through who's obviously a couple and that's all they buy, like what? But
no food, just Lamisil and X-Lax. That's all we need.
Yeah. I don't know.
What about for you? What was something funny that happened to you?
People talk to me, they don't really make jokes. Like, they want to talk about all my kids and how great and how many kids do I have and how old are they. There was, you know, that's normally what they talk to me about is why am I buying this stuff? Like, they want to know what I'm doing. And, you know, I don't want to tell them exactly what I'm doing. So I just play along. Like, I went to a card store, party supply store, something or other, and I was looking for my mom's 60th birthday party was in March. So I'm looking for stuff for her party, and I, of course, can't go anywhere without scanning. So I found a couple of things, and I was talking to the lady, and I ended up buying it. Well, I was talking to her, and she said, oh, we've had those for a while. If you take them all, I'll give you 50% off. And I would have bought them at the price that they were originally marked. So I was like, okay. And so then it was a Lego thing, which everybody knows how wonderful Legos are in general. So, you know, it was right when the movie came out. So she's like, oh, you know, how old's your little boy? And da-da. So I ended up walking out of there going, I do not have a 4-year-old son that loves Legos, and I do not have a husband who's a master builder, but that lady will never know. I mean, it was just a 20-minute conversation. I'm like, can you hurry up and just check me out? Because I don't know how much more creativity I can come up with this BS story of my imaginary family that, you know, has all these not existent hobbies. So,
yeah, I think you come across that a whole lot. And I hear a lot of people come up with some crazy stuff as far as what they say when they, you know, buy a bunch of stuff. You know, I usually just kind of look at them and groan, and that usually stops any problems. The funniest one I heard was some guy on Facebook or something posted. He went in and he bought a bunch of dolls, Barbie dolls or something like that, and he posted on there that the cashier asked him what was he doing with all these dolls, and he says, well, I have a van and I drive around and I ask little girls if they want a prize. And the cashier almost pooped herself before she called the police. So I kind of threw that one out of my repertoire. But let's do one more question and we'll call it a day here on our first Picking Live podcast. Hopefully we'll get one that's a good one.
I think they're all good. They all came straight from my brain.
You came up with them, so.
All right. This one really doesn't have to do, maybe you won't like it, but what do you collect and what's your favorite addition to your collection?
Well, I collect probably 3 things. I collect BMX bikes.
Yes.
I collect lamps.
Yes.
I don't ever say I collect lamps. This is probably the first time she's going to have it on recording, but I like buying lamps. Uh-huh. And I collect alarm clocks. Uh-huh. And little, you know, handheld or little bitty alarm clocks.
The wind-up kind.
Yeah. And my favorite addition was probably the time that I bought, like, what was it, like 25 at that estate sale, the alarm clocks. Oh, and I wound them all to see if they would work.
At the same time.
At the same time. And they were all ticking all over our living room. And
didn't realize that half of them, the alarms were set. And so not only were they ticking in not unison all over the living room for 24 hours plus, they would randomly have alarms go off. And it wasn't like alarms at like 7 p.m. when we were watching TV. It was like 3 in the morning, this old, with the bell, like the going on, and it was terrible, terrible. So that was the first and the last time that he checked to make sure everything worked.
I wind them when she leaves, when she goes out of town.
Yeah, and they're not still ticking when I come back.
But I think those are probably the only 3 things that I really collect.
Fans? You're a fan.
Yeah, I like fans, but I've sold a lot of fans.
Yes.
I haven't sold a ton of lamps. I buy a lot of lamps.
Yes.
And I like lamps, so I kind of keep lamps, and they just kind of pile up, and they never sell, never get listed, and I think that's probably the only real thing. And yeah, I think those would be it. And probably my favorite story, I guess, of buying a lamp or BMX bike or alarm clock was probably the Handel lamp that I bought up in Arkansas. Beautiful lamp. It's a high dollar lamp. And it's sitting in our closet.
Yes, it is.
And never gets seen, never gets anything because Olivia doesn't like it.
I never said I didn't like it.
Well, you said I couldn't put it out in public.
Well, that doesn't mean that I didn't.
It said it did not go with our decor.
Well, it didn't.
But 150 alarm clocks all over our living room are fine. But
well,
an expensive lamp sitting on a table, that's where I draw the line. Nope. No more lamps.
Well, when you walk into a room and that's his collection. He likes clocks. But, 18 lamps all over, it's like, what are you, afraid of the dark? It just, there's...
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's already a ton of lamps everywhere, and we have ceiling lamps and ceiling lights and, all hanging chandeliers and all these other lights all over the house. So you start adding a bunch of other accessory lights, it looks a little odd.
What about for you, my dear? What do you like to collect, and what is your favorite thing? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, what was my favorite? I would say I'm not quite as collecting as I once was. When we first started out, I collected a lot of dishes. I had dish set upon dish set upon dish set. I'm down to one that we bring out at, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, that I really like, that we've kept. I also like Van Briggle.
Yeah.
I enjoy, collecting.
Van Briggle pottery.
Yes, sorry. Again, I guess I thought that. Yeah, Van Briggle pottery. I like finding those. And then ugly birds. Ugly bird.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Ugly
They're all over the top of our kitchen, but I forgot about them.
Yeah, ugly birds. They have to be extremely ugly.
And in a pair.
And if they're a matching pair, even better. If they're like a male and a female bird, that works. But we have some super ugly birds. There are a couple singles, but they're massive. I mean, like 22-inch peacocks that are brown. I mean, who's seen a brown peacock? That's an ugly bird. But I think that's California something or other. California pottery. And yeah, so we have a lot of ugly birds all around our kitchen. So he has taken over the living room with the clocks, and I've taken over the kitchen with my ugly birds. But I haven't added to my ugly bird collection for a while. But yeah.
We'll have to find one. I forgot all about the ugly birds because they sit on top of the cabinets in our kitchen. And if you don't look up, you never really notice them. I'm sure people who come in probably notice them because they're large and ugly, but we've lived there for, 5.5 years now?
Yeah.
So, kind of just
there at this point.
It's like someone on one of my videos the other day commented about the fire alarm beeping.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yeah, well, I don't have time to go and get a battery. It's not like I'm in a store every single day, about 10 times a day. It's like the mechanic who never fixes his car.
Yeah. Or the contractor that, his house is falling down around him. But, yeah. As far as my favorite thing, I really don't know.
Probably that vase I sold.
Yeah. Oh, here's a story for you folks. All right. We went to this estate auction in Shreveport, Louisiana. First of all, an auction local is like hallelujah. And so we didn't have to travel but like 45 minutes to get to this auction. And this lady had nice stuff. Nice. And, yeah, it was, so we're there and they're selling stuff and there's not a big crowd. It was not advertised properly. It was just like, yeah, there's some old stuff here, antiques, collectibles, come check it out. And
there's like a 37-star flag, and that's probably like a $3,500, $4,000 flag, and this is before we were really big time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it went for like $1,200 or something like that, and if I would have been known more.
And beautiful furniture and just thing upon thing that was just awesome. We bought something else there that was, I don't know, but anyway, we bought quite a bit of stuff, and there's this beautiful purple Van Briggle 14-inch double tool
rose.
I don't know, but it was a rare kind, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and it was big and
early.
It was amazing. And I don't know if you can tell by my speech pattern, but I'm getting excited thinking about it. I'm kind of drooling a little bit too, which is extremely odd because normally that should just happen with food. But anyway, so we ended up buying it for a whopping $45.
Yeah.
And which is an amazing price. And so we go and we look online, and that is the mistake. If you like something that fits into your collection, just put it in your collection. Do not look up the actual value. Just step to the side and leave it on the shelf where you can enjoy it because you like it. Well, we didn't do that. We looked it up, and it had some value, and we ended up selling it for just over $500.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? How do you just walk away from $500 when you can reinvest it and make however much more? And it's like, well, I can have it on the shelf, or I can, take the $500 and put it in my pocket. So that's what we did, is we ended up selling it. And that's one of the things that I wish was in the collection. But, looking back, you need capital to continue to grow your business. So you make those decisions. And
yeah, and I think we've both sacrificed on things that we liked, but I think that's one that I can definitely remember that I like the pottery too, because I like that era, the Art Deco, 1920s, that kind of stuff. And I think that we've both sacrificed on different things, but where we're at now, I think it was worth it when you look at the big picture of things.
Yeah, and
because at that time, if you would have said we were going to be here, if we, doing what we're doing now, I think that we would have probably laughed at you.
Yeah, but there are things that, like you said, and the other good thing about collections is, doing what we do. If we find something we like, we can put it in our home and we can enjoy it until you don't enjoy it anymore. And what a lot of people do that don't have the avenue of selling it, on eBay or whatnot. After the fact, it goes into a garage, it goes into storage, it goes into a tote. Well, we've enjoyed it. We know what we paid for it. We turn around and sell it for a profit, and we can reinvest it. Because let's face it, in America, normally when something goes into a box or into storage, it is never seen again. Yeah. So why continue to accumulate when you've enjoyed it, you've had your say of it, you've enjoyed it, you no longer want it. Just go ahead and sell it at that point. So
I think we've done that on a few things that we've bought that we thought we would keep for longer, and and just like you just buy things, like that china cabinet that we got a couple weeks ago. That thing's beautiful. It's probably not going to be an heirloom piece that we pass down to the family or something like that, but it could be if it's but it's a beautiful piece and it looks nice in our home, and we like it there. And if we find something that we like better, we can always pull it out, sell it, and move on. But I think that's enough questions for today. I think we got through 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Olivia?
I did. I like talking.
Yeah, I know that. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, like I said. And please feel free to leave any additional questions you guys may have that you'd like us to throw in our basket for next week. Please leave them below this video, and we will throw them in the basket.
May pick it out, may not. Maybe another one of my questions in there. We're just going to keep adding and cover each time some questions, and you get to learn a little bit about what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and a little bit about
us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, like I said. And this is Dallas, and I'm saying goodbye.
And this is Olivia. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.